underdogs rise. And here we are now, just one match away from deciding who will face Aspire at St George's Park on Sunday, June 29th for the 24-25 John Good Group WFA Cup final as part of the FA Disability Cup weekend, televised on TNT Sports. Before we turn our attention to the action on court, we want to take a moment to really recognise the driving force behind today's event, that being the John Good Group. What you see around you, the branding, the organisation, the sense of occasion, is a result of months of collaboration, planning and shared ambition between the WFA and the John Good Group. They have been absolutely instrumental in helping us grow this event into one of the most important dates in the Power Chair football calendar, and it's not an exaggeration to say that none of this would be possible without their backing. Since becoming the title sponsors of the Cup in the 23-24 season, the John Good Group have gone far beyond the expectations of a traditional commercial partner. Their commitment isn't simply about visibility, it's about meaningful impact. It's about championing a sport that deserves to be seen, heard and celebrated. They've brought fresh ideas, energy and a belief to every single conversation. And the result is what you're seeing here today, a National Cup showcase that feels ambitious, professional and full of purpose. And a huge thank you must go to the individuals behind the scenes, so I'm going to name them, who have worked tirelessly. Adam Walsh, Rich Quelch, Nina Pybus, Phil Postle, Mel Deakin, Megan Hayward, to mention just a few. Their hard work, creativity and generosity have shaped every detail of today's experience. I'm delighted to be joined on commentary for this second semi-final that will be contested between Villa, Rocket and West Bromwich Albion by WFA chairperson Dean Williams. How are you?
Hello Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm very well, very well.
Good to be back here as well after my extraordinary last few days, and you've beautiful words praising John Good Group, and that's absolutely what we should be doing. But I'm going to add a couple of names to that as well. One of them is yours, and also Alex Dowding as well. You guys have worked with the John Good Group team beautifully. I think if you asked them and said, what's the stuff you're getting from the WFA, they would also mention you both by name as well. So it's a personal thank you from me to the John Good Group and all the people you've mentioned, and some that are behind the scenes and perhaps not taking those lead roles. It's outstanding what they do, but also what you do and what Alex has done, that's just superb work, matey. So well done. You don't often like me giving you credit, but you're getting it anyway.
Much appreciated. But with John Good Group, it's not just this season or last. We are really excited to build towards the 25-26 competition, where we're going to take this competition to even greater heights. I also want to reflect again, I did it earlier while she was just getting into the venue, the conclusion of the Good Road to Derby, a challenge that began early Friday morning at the headquarters of our cup sponsors, John Good Group. Yourself and Nick Woodward, who I can see has his headsets on, so we'll be listening to this. You've gone on a fairly gruelling 200-mile journey from Hull to Manchester to St George's Park, culminating in this incredible arena in Derby. You visited some of our most valued sponsors, starting of course at John Good Group, Slater Gordon, UA92, Optegra and the FA, to mention just five. But we know we've had support and encouragement for so many different partners and sponsors across our community. How has it been?
Very tiring. I would look at the the scenery on the moors and across the Pennines was incredible, but that was a gruelling first day that Nick and I spent on that. And again, I've said it when we did the semi-final draw, Ryan, but you will know this, and again, another thank you to you. You've been fantastic the last few days, and you know, you must understand that when you're doing socials, but your presence around me and with my lovely lady wife as well, it's meant the world in moments where I have to say I've had my moments going, this is tough. This is really, really tough. So thank you again from me for that. But it's been really tough. But actually, the more I sit and reflect on that, the more I have some very fond memories. And you know, Nick has just been extraordinary, just to hold my hand and guide me through that, right the way through the whole process, and show a lot of empathy when I'm sure he won't say this, but I must have frustrated him at times.
I'm sure he would disagree with that wholeheartedly. It's been a real collective effort, and it's worth keeping an eye out on the WFA social media in the coming weeks/months, because Nick is announcing an even bigger challenge than the one you've undertaken in the last few days. I think that's probably an understatement, but we'll leave that one there. Quick shout out also to Matthew Stevens, who is just on the final leg of his own incredible fundraising effort. 200-mile coast-to-coast walk from St Bees to Robin Hood's Bay, so from the west coast of England all the way to the east, and he's now just a day away from completion. His efforts, like Dean and Nick, reflect the heart of our community, and he has raised thousands, and we cannot thank him enough for his incredible solo effort.
And on commentary the last semi with Greg, I again praise Matthew's efforts, but I'll say it again because he will listen to this when he's got the time to do that. Absolutely amazing job, Matthew, and thank you so much. It's just sterling work you're doing, and you know how much it means to the community and everybody involved, so thank you so much.
So let's turn our attentions to this semi-final. Let's go through the squads quickly, starting with Villa Rockets. They have number 7, Bobby Allen, number 8, Dave Lewis, number 10, Hamza Madir, and number 99, Amir Ali. I think it's not unfair to say that they've really surprised a lot of people with this progression to the semi-final stage. They had to beat the odds to progress past Teesside, who were in many eyes were favourites to go on all the way to St George's Park conclusion, myself included. So really impressed with Villa Rockets. Having been rooted to Court A for the majority of the day, I haven't quite caught up with the performances or individuals, but the fact that they're here in the semi-final deserves so much credit. So they progressed, it was, I believe, 0-0 after regulation time, 5 minutes each way of extra time. Also wasn't able to separate the two, and then they progressed 8-7 on penalties. So congratulations to them. West Brom, a very similar story actually. Let's go through their squad quickly. Number 8, Lucas Christa. Number 9, Chris Gordon. Number 14, Matt Gilbert. Number 19, Brad Bates. Number 20, Ollie Rock. Number 27, Dylan Kelsall. And number 29, Barris Inall. I had the pleasure of calling that one alongside David D. And what a game it was. I think we've said many times, and I apologise for repeating myself, that fixture, that matchup wouldn't be out of place at St George's Park on Sunday, June 29th. It was that good and that full of quality, and that one finished 1-1 and had to be separated on penalties also. So these two coming off the back of very impressive quarter-final wins via penalty shootouts. I wonder if that sort of fatigue will play a factor into this semi-final, as Amir Ali brilliantly prevents an opening goal in the opening 10 seconds. Just to go through the squads as they start the fixture, starting with designated home team Villa Rockets. Hamza Madir will be adorning the green goalkeeper jersey, typically the most defensive of the 4 players, with that of Amir Ali, or Bubba for short, if we use his nickname. Dave Lewis, one of the most experienced players in the country, with possession of the ball now, and on the alternate wing is that of Bobby Allen, one of the youngest, most exciting prospects in the country. So a real fantastic balance and of youth and experience. And for West Brom, reigning champions both in the league and the cup, just always seem to find a way, and that was absolutely the case against Newcastle. They're comprised of Barris Inall in goal, Chris Gordon in the centre, and the wingers that of Dylan Kelsall and Brad Bates. Their connection in the league this season has been sensational. So if you're Villa Rockets, you need to try and fragment those passing lanes to ensure success is of a minimum. So Dave Lewis, worth noting, was present in the West Bromwich Albion squad that won the cup last season, since has moved to play his football at Villa Rockets. So he will provide fantastic context and experience playing against these players. Will we see that become a factor as the game goes on? We referenced earlier in the Nottinghamshire versus Leeds quarter-final, and I think the same statement can be applied to this one. For Villa, I think you have to keep it compact and goalless for as long as possible, and I believe their game will be one of counter-attacking football. West Brom, as we're seeing, will look to impose their quality on the game earlier, quick combinations, clinical transitions, and the real structure behind the ball, a fluid structure. Chris Gordon, Dylan Kelso and Brad Bates, don't be surprised if they rotate in and around all areas of the court. But I think there'll be a contrast in styles, but I think that's what Villa have to do if they're going to find success. They're going to have to play their game, try and frustrate them. This is, of course, a very fiery, closely contested derby in the world of power chair football, as it is in the running game as well. But in the opening 3 minutes, West Brom on the front foot. Brad Bates fired into the side of Hamza Madir. Three-time champions in the Cup, West Bromwich Albion. Villa Rockets have been present in that final showcase before. This is their third semi-cup semi-final in the competition. So they've been there before, never quite managed to go that step further to lift the trophy. But as we saw in that Teesside game, they have the quality to upset. And that is the magic of cup football. Just comes down to one game.
Well, and there might be a bit of a blueprint there, Ryan, as well, about taking a game deep, frustrating a team, and then finding a way to get over the line.
Beautiful pick-off from Chris Gordon via that Brad Bates corner kick. They're just struggling to break out their own half, but I kind of suspected that would be the case. Often in the National League, they absorb a lot of pressure and then they look to break quickly and clinically. For that, I'd say keep an eye on Bobby Allen, number 7, with the ball at the moment, just flicked into our central referee, Millie Bean. He's one they're going to want to try and distribute the ball to. Has found some good scoring form as he's playing his first season for Villa Rockets. Hamza Madir into Dave Lewis. The appeals from Dave Lewis are heard by Carolyn Goldsborough, the official closest to myself and Dean, the furthest to that of the camera.
Just going back to the comments you just made about Bobby Allen. Remember on our podcast, right? It seems like a long time ago now. It was Friday morning, and we talked about would particularly younger players, would they be able to cope with the atmosphere, bring their A game on such an important event. And I've been looking at that very closely today in terms of how have players responded to that, because of course we want to keep building expectations, creating those kind of atmospheres and those kind of moments, and I think there's a lot of very impressive performances who've dealt with that brilliantly, so fair play to all the players stepping up.
It's a common question and conversation we have around power chair football, how players of 12, 14, 15 are so mature for their ages. And Bobby Allen kind of epitomises that on that point. I think he has had experience competing at European level in various kind of fantasy tournaments delivered in Geneva, and he's gone all the way within those respective competitions, and I think that's serving him well here. That was a real sense of occasion, there was a pressure, there was an atmosphere. So this is not too unfamiliar for Bobby, but others, maybe Hamza, this is new, because whilst we love our National League. This Cup Day here at Derby Arena brings a whole new perspective and set of eyes to the sport, with which comes pressure and expectation.
Yeah.
Seven minutes gone. Villa Rockets 0, West Bromwich Albion 0. It's worth noting that these two have met twice in the National League this season, both games of which ended in 3 points for the champions. So they have the bragging rights, West Brom. And as mentioned, I don't think it's unfair to say that Villa are the underdogs based on cup pedigree and league form. Aspire booked their spots in the John Good Group WFA Cup final for 24-25, a 2-1 victory over Leeds Chariots as Dylan Kelsall fires an effort goal bound off the back wheel of Hamza Madir. Have to commend the defensive structure of Villa Rockets, keeping West Brom at bay despite the ball being in their defensive half for 95% of this game so far. Dylan Kelsall down in this bottom right-hand corner, or the top left as you're viewing it on your screens. I apologise if the orientation is a bit off. Dean and I are situated the opposite side of the camera, which is contrast what we do at National League. So if I'm referencing top right, top left, that is why. Dylan Kelsall in the centre. Can't miss him with that luminous orange bumper. Wide of the left-hand post, slightly forced. Whilst this will please West Brom in terms of their presence, they haven't done a great deal to really trouble Amir Ali and or Hamza Madir as of yet. Often curse of the commentator.
Yes.
I've said it many a time, the phenomena of curse of the commentator is a very real thing. I often say one thing and the complete opposite happens.
I mean, this is pretty much how you suggested it might be, with West Bromwich Albion in the ascendancy and Villa doing what they need to do to frustrate.
And they're just going to want to keep it goalless.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, we've seen, if they can get it through regulation time, extra time, then potential penalties, it opens it up.
Yeah.
And
it's a shot on goal at that point.
Exactly. We've said that there's only been 4 teams present in the WFA Cup final in the last 7 years. In the 2016-17 season, I believe, Villa Rockets were defeated at St George's Park by Aspire. So they're the last team beyond those 4 to experience the St George's Park spectacle, but that was before the TNT Sports, the FA Disability Cup weekend. It's been transformed completely in the last 4 or 5 years into this incredible showcase of disability football. So they're going to want to experience that, its new identity, as Brad Bates guides it down the wing. As mentioned, West Brom have won the Cup 3 times. They've finished as runners-up 2 times. Villa Rockets have finished as the runner-up on 2 occasions as well. Into the box by Dylan Kelsall. Doing so well to break up those passing lanes. A complete contrast to that earlier Newcastle game. Because Newcastle was so proactive and so brave in attack, there was naturally a lot of space for West Brom to be more accurate, be more clinical in their passing. But Villa are very much playing the opponent into the box, blocked by Hamza Madir. recently inducted into the National Emergent Talent Programme. We have a very comprehensive pathway up to the England national team. We have 3 regional emergent talent programmes that feed a national emergent talent programme. Bobby Allen and Hamza Madir currently present with strong aspirations of climbing even further to represent their country.
The pressure for West Brom is relentless, isn't it, really? But just over, what's that, 12, 13 minutes, just under? They've coped with it well.
They have, absolutely brilliant. Exactly what I would have wanted to see with Villa. Unlike the National League, you're not worried about placement, you're not worried about goal difference. You're just playing the opponent in front of you. And that's the beauty of cup football. It's a complete hard reset where National League form goes out the window. Nice decision there from Dave Lewis, because Bobby Allen was there to capitalise on the ricochet, and that's much better. They've slowly ventured their way into the West Brom half. Barrison on Chris Gordon, very isolated with little to no involvement in the 13 minutes played. Into Chris Gordon. This will please Dave Lewis far more than it would Chris Gordon, it being locked up. You may think it's a bit early to be trying to manage the game and run that clock down, but it's the perfect strategy. Ricocheted out, Villa ball.
It's one of the things, though, I always think about Chris and the West Bromwich Albion team in general. They just know how to manage it, don't they, in terms of their own emotion when things are tight and very difficult for them to break through. So again, it won't be the first time they've experienced this. I'm sure many teams have tried to, I'm not saying shut up shop, but make it very difficult for them. They do find a way more often than not.
Dave Lewis, without question, has been the busiest of the 8 players on the court after 14.5 minutes. Still pursuing the ball on the right. Very cagey. Chris Gordon ventures into this bottom corner. Dave Lewis just cuts off the advancement of Dylan Kelsall initially. Dave Lewis has recently stepped back from international football, having been present in the England squad that travelled to Sydney as part of the Fit for Power Chair Football World Cup. Focusing his energy now on club football, which has opened the door, as a matter of fact, to Dylan Kelsall to be present in that England squad at present. Later on this year in September, there will be the WFA Nations Cup, hosted in Italy, where England will be defending their European Championship crown. England head coach Adam McAvoy, as versatile as he is on camera duties to our left.
He's doing a very grand job as well, I must admit.
I think that his job of controlling the camera will be far easier than selecting a squad of 8 to travel to Italy for the WFA Nations Cup. An abundance of talent, an embarrassment of riches, as we often say, but it's exactly the way we want it, and we want to ensure that come September 25th, I believe, England will be bringing that trophy back to St George's Park. Before that, in June, with West Brom in mind. They will be travelling to Paris alongside Aspire to compete in the first ever iteration of the FitFut Power Chair Football Club World Cup. It just shows where this sport is going, constantly innovating. And we wish West Brom and Aspire the best of luck in that one. Aspire, of course, European champions, having won the Champions League equivalent for power chair football in 2024. They'll be looking to add a world title to that at the end of June.
And we wish them the best of luck and also a very speedy trip back, Ryan.
Just to apply that context, the final of the Fit for Power Chair Football Club World Cup concludes 2 days prior to the FA Disability Cup final at St George's Park. So we know Aspire will be present in that final. West Brom are going to have to really try and find a formula to bypass Hamza Madir and Amir Ali if they are to book their spot in that final. But if that is the case, both will have to rush back on Saturday the 28th to ensure that they are present, ready for the spectacle that is the FA Disability Cup weekend and the Power Chair final.
And we have to rush back as well, Ryan.
We do. But we have the afforded benefit of not having to lug a strike force from country to country. We can just take ourselves in a suitcase.
Very true.
So, a minute and a half left. Really good performance from me for Villa. Frustrating West Bromwich Albion. Not a great deal of success in attack for Villa, but that was probably never going to be the case. West Brom, on the other hand, I did question whether that earlier quarter-final victory over Newcastle that went to extra time and penalties would have taken a little bit out of them. And I think that appears to have been the case. Had a recent substitute for West Brom, Matt Gilbert, featuring for the first time today. He didn't feature at all in that earlier quarter-final. Dylan Kelsall, the player that's come off. And if we're talking about Brad Bates, I think Brad Bates is the only player in the club's sports history, that has won the WFA Cup with 2 different teams. So he won it in 2019-20 with West Bromwich Albion. He then moved to Aspire following the conclusion of, I believe, the 21-22 campaign, and has since rejoined his boyhood club in pursuit of silverware, accolades and trophies.
He's not had a bad career, has he, so far?
He certainly hasn't. So all the way down from Dave Lewis, just ticked over into additional time, so anything that Millie Bean has totted up across this half, it looks like very little with the whistle in her mouth. Dave Lewis will desperately trying to prevent this to ensure that it goes into the break goalless. Nice short snappy passes on the edge of the box exchanged between Matt Gilbert and Chris Gordon, and that concludes the action of the first half. Pretty much as suspected, close, cagey encounter. Villa doing really well to nullify the fairly potent attack of West Bromwich Albion. Be very intriguing to see the respective team talks of the teams. Villa will most definitely be the happier of the two. Join myself and Mr. Dean Williams very shortly for the second half. 25 John Good Group WFA Cup between Villa Rockets and West Bromwich Albion. We are back underway. Nothing could separate the two in the first 20. Can we see one of these two really impart their quality and influence in the second? As was the case for the majority of that first half, West Brom settling in the Villa half. Heavy contact and straight away, seconds into the second half, Matt Gilbert opens the scoring. Really difficult. They've been so brilliant, Villa, at restricting the attacking threat that is West Bromwich Albion. But on that occasion, brilliantly so, Matt Gilbert, who I was desperate to see feature in the earlier quarter-final against Newcastle, shows why he's such a valuable asset to Chris Gordon's side.
What a tidy finish that one, Ryan, and now I don't think they'll overly panic, but the game plan needs to be slightly adjusted now by Villa.
Yeah, this was the case with Nottinghamshire Leeds, following that one goal advantage, and this being a knockout format. Villa are going to have to try and take the game, take risks, be braver, which will of course be of a detrimental effect to that defensive stability that we've spoken about with such high praises so far. All about risk versus reward, as West Brom break away again via Matt Gilbert, the goal scorer. Substitute in the break has seen Dylan Kelsall re-enter the action in place of Brad Bates. Everywhere you look in this West Brom squad, there is quality and abundance of it. The fact that you can bring on a player of Brad Bates' quality, with many accolades, goals, trophies to his names, and bring on Dylan Kelsall, who's just as impressive. It shows why they are so formidable. But as said again in the Newcastle game earlier, this is a team in transition that is rebuilding. If we look at their squad from last season, Logan Mitchelson sadly passed away. Valentino Zegarelli has gone back to Argentina. Marcus Harrison has moved to Greenbank, and Dave Lewis, as you can see, playing for Villa Rockets. So that is a squad within itself. Four-a-side format, you lose 4 key players. It's a big rebuild, but They seem to be doing it so well. They've promoted from within. They've brought Brad Bates back and Barris Innell, formerly of West Bromwich Albion. And they've also promoted Lucas Christa and Ollie Rock, which is really nice to see, giving the players within that West Brom structure and system the opportunity to fight at the very top of both the league and the cup. And as it stands, they will book their spot in the St George's Park final and game week 5 of the Premiership, May 31st and June 1st. They'll be hoping to add a 6th title to their names. As Chris Gordon fires it into the box. Worth noting that Villa Rockets slightly weakened than the team we saw in game week 4 of the Optegra Premiership. Liam Lynch, the Republic of Ireland international, hasn't been able to travel over here for this cup showcase. He's a real high quality player that's added so much as Chris Gordon fires an effort into the side of a very stationary Hamza Midir. Villa Rockets also without Summer Rice. So with no substitutes at their disposal, if they want to switch things up, they're going to have to do it with regards to tactics and setup rather than looking to the bench, which Chris Gordon has done so brilliantly within this game, as shown with that Matt Gilbert substitute, who's just gone on to score the opening goal. 24.5 minutes played. Villa 0, West Brom 1. You're joining myself, Ryan Sipple, and Dean Williams for the final half, assuming it doesn't go to extra time, of football here in this quarter-final and semi-final showcase of the John Good Group WFA Cup. Good work from Bobby Allen. I said that any success Villa have will likely come through him. Just haven't been able to unlock him or find the distribution up the court. So they're going to have to make opportunities like this count if they're to get back in it. Hamza Midir down to Bobby Allen, into the box, off the side of Dylan Kelsall. On the 2 occasions in which they met in the league, West Brom won 1-0 and 2-0. So Villa have a tendency to really struggle to score against West Brom. And knowing how professional and experienced they are, as Matt Gilbert's going to be set away, he's going to attempt a 180 across the line. Absolutely sensational goal from Matt Gilbert. What a brilliant player he is. Doesn't often get the headlines because you have some real classy, high-scoring, creative players, most notably Brad Bates and Dylan Kelsall. But Matt Gilbert has been so key to the way that West Brom played for the last 4 or 5 years. And that brace is no less than he deserves. Villa 0, West Brom 2. They've got 1 foot in the final.
Yeah, they definitely do, don't they? And what a lovely bit of composure from Matt Gilbert to let that ball run and then know exactly when to hit that. Great finish.
Anyone that's a regular listener of my commentary and or the 2-on-1 Power Chair Football podcast will know just how much I appreciate him as a player, hence why I wanted to see him feature in their earlier quarter-final. A player that never ever dips below a 7 out of 10. And I truly mean that. There's very few players that are as consistent as him. He's competing at the absolute pinnacle of Power Chair football in England and deserves to do so as well. Just a player that Chris Gordon has so much trust and faith in. No matter what position he's utilised in, he performs his role admirably.
Well, if scoring a goal against West Brom was hard enough, it's just got an awful lot harder for Villa.
Yeah, a metaphorical mountain to climb now as Matt Gilbert's looking for his hat-trick.
Don't talk about mountains or hills.
No, I won't. When referencing the good road to Derby, your 200-mile cycle challenge, your wife Roz and I have had a lovely few days together, intersecting you at various points along the route, and we've commented how difficult the drives have been for inclines and declines, let alone cycling, so we commend your efforts completely. But you wouldn't have wanted it to be easy, would you?
No, definitely not.
It's now thinking about what your next monumental challenge will be.
So Nick has this as a challenge to him.
Yeah, he does. Obviously, you based. I think it's more coincidence than on purpose about being 200 miles, which essentially mirrors the challenge currently being undertaken by Matthew Stevens, which is a 200-mile walk. So you've loosely said to Nick, think about the number 200 and how and what challenge can fit into that criteria.
Yes, you were at dinner last night. We were talking about exactly this, weren't we? There you go. Glutton for punishment, I am.
Yeah. Anyone that wants to donate to the WFA Benevolent Fund or one of the fundraisers currently active, please look in the back of the programmes provided. There's some QR codes. We've also got a QR code for the raffle of the Sergio Aguero and Wayne Rooney signed shirts provided by Nina Pybus, who we're incredibly grateful for. I'm not sure we'll be able to conduct the raffle today. So anyone that's bought a ticket, we will get our thinking caps on as to when we conduct that. With everything else going on, the priority today has always been the cup football and the draw. But we've got a bout of National League football, 2 bouts of National League football in the coming fortnight. Or 3 weeks, sorry. Game week 5, the final weekend of the Optegra Championship, which is taking place at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre on May 24th and 25th, and then the final weekend of the Premiership, May 31st and June 1st. Amir Ali takes control.
Going to say, Ryan, unless something significant changes in the next 10 minutes, there'll be lots of clubs that want to spoil this, but June, if you think about that as a month for West Brom, cup final at the end of it, 1st of June is the conclusion of the season, as you mentioned, but then also the Club World Cup, as you've also mentioned, before the FA Disability Cup weekend.
Substitute for West Bromwich Albion to a very amazing round of applause. Matt Gilbert leaves the court, which is what I suspect would be his last feature in this semi-final, in his place for the first time today. Ollie Rock comes on. Again, I will repeat myself. Matt Gilbert, incredible player. 2 incredible goals, which look almost certain to define the outcome of this fixture. You're seeing Villa commit players forward now in desperate pursuit of some success. But as has been the case in the league, and it's appearing to be the same in the cup, West Brom just look formidable. No one has beaten them in WFA-led competitions this season. 17 games played in the league, 14 wins, 3 draws. They won their 3rd round cup draw against West Bromwich Albion Throssels 3-1. Newcastle United Foundation gave them their sternest test probably all season, taking them to penalties in the quarter-final. 7-6 that ended. And barring a real shift in momentum, West Brom, it will be once again a West Brom Aspire final on Sunday, June 29th. West Brom and Aspire have contested the final on 3 occasions. Last year, 23-24, West Brom won 2-0. In 2019-20, West Brom won kind of our version. It was slightly shifted because of COVID. And then in 2017-18, West Brom beat Aspire 1-0 as the ball ricochets high off of Amit Ali's chair Oliver Rock's first real involvement. And whilst it's a little bit predictable in terms of West Brom Aspire final, there's not many better teams that can put on such an incredible showcase when there's a whole new set of eyes and audiences watching. Whoever's present in the WFA Cup final as part of the FA Disability Cup weekend almost has a responsibility to show what Power Chair football's about, being televised on TNT Sports as Oliver Rock fires an effort goal bound. But with new eyes watching, the amount of conversations, partnerships and new clubs that have been formed as a result of interest driven from the FA Disability Cup weekend makes it by default the biggest event in our calendar, because whilst Power Chair football is everything to our community, to get bigger, to grow, to enhance, you need to appeal to new audiences and get across new eyes, and that's the platform that provides.
Yeah, exactly that. I sent up my congratulations to John Kelly with Aspire victorious in the semi-final, and he said, you know what, the one thing that's really happened is other teams now stepping up in their play and the quality of their performances, which of course pushes West Bromwich Albion and Aspire and makes them try and achieve new levels, and that's brilliant for our sport, as we know. So they're not going to have it their own way, are they? And you know, they're going to have to keep up in their game and keep building, because if they don't do that, then other teams already this year are showing very positive signs. It
may sound like a cliche or a figure of speech, but the levels of football we've seen this season have been truly unprecedented. The fact that we've got a 5-horse race in the Premiership, when in years gone by we would be lucky for 3 teams to be in consideration come game week 5.
Yeah.
The final weekend, May 31st and June 1st, there is 5 potential champions that could be crowned. So it just speaks to that quality from top to bottom. And the same sentiment can be applied to the Championship, the level of competition, and that we owe a lot of thanks to Optegra, our National League sponsors. It's not a coincidence that this influx of incredible, engaging, innovative partners have come at a time when Power Chair football is just on the up. It's their support, their backing and partnerships have meant we've got these levels of competition, and that's a really well worked opportunity. Oliver Rock across the box to Dylan Kelsall, but blocked up by the Villa Rockets defence. 4.5 minutes remaining. Villa Rockets 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. A brace from Matt Gilbert. Looks as if it will settle this semi-final clash. But again, I really want to emphasise how impressed I have been with Villa Rockets, and the fact they're even present in this semi-final, bypassing the highest scoring team in the country in Teesside. They have to be proud of that achievement.
It's a wonderful moment to see there, where Bobby Allen took the ball past Dylan Kelsall with a little bit of a trick, and full respect from Dylan Kelsall, as if to, wow, great bit of skill.
So that brace for Matt Gilbert takes him up to 23 goals in the WFA Cup, which makes him the 4th all-time scorer in the competition. So huge congratulations to him.
Yeah, that's great. Very difficult very difficult to see any other route through player of the match than Matty Gilbert at this stage.
I mean, you're asking the wrong person. I'm Matt Gilbert fanboy, so I'll give you responsibility of player of the match if you're going to give it to Matt, or you can just think about honourable mentions if that is the case, because there's been a lot of performance, not just from West Brom.
No.
You have to commend the defensive effort, certainly in that first half, of Hamza Madir and Amir Ali.
Yeah.
And this is a team in transition. They've brought in Bobby Allen. They've brought in They've brought in Liam Lynch and Dave Lewis, so it's almost really exciting for next season. Once they've gelled as a unit and have a season under their belt, what they can achieve in the 25-26 campaign, both in the league and the cup, it's a really exciting prospect, and that is a sentiment that can be shared across so many different teams. So it's a 5-horse race for the title this season. Hopefully it can be even more so in 25-26.
That's what we want, that's what we love.
So Dylan Kelsall with responsibility of this set piece. Gordon waiting. He takes some responsibility on that occasion. Fires it to Oliver Rock. As I know, a lot of people will depart almost immediately after the full-time whistle. Anyone that's tuning in via these wireless headphones, I just want to say a huge thank you for being present here at the Derby Arena. We haven't had an official tally up, but we would confidently say this is one of the most attended power chair football events ever delivered in this country. You're all a credit to the sport, to the community, and you have brought the noise. We gave you the challenge to bring the noise.
Done exactly that, haven't
Not
they?
just for the football, but for the arrival of yourself and Nick this morning.
Oh, that was amazing. And that was a very touching moment. One of those things I'll always remember as well. Just a quick note on the tally. Sorry, I didn't get to you before this, Ryan, but Adam and I have got together. We know that there was an attendance of over 300 people.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Which is
Absolutely
great.
amazing.
So we have smashed the record for power chair football in England.
We've smashed the record indeed, and without giving away too much, I can tell you the discussions that are happening with regards to the 25-26 campaign. I, of course, know we've still got a final to take place, and we're going to put every ounce of energy into that. If you think this is impressive, just you wait till what's planned for 25-26. I won't say any more. Dylan Kelsall into Chris Gordon. We've had the regulation 20, so now into additional time, so I will push you for your player of the match and honourable mentions.
Well, I think you've done the honourable mentions you've done. I think there are... Villa Rockets have given, let's be honest, a really good account of this. Their game plan was clear to frustrate. I think that goal right at the start of the second half obviously has put pay to that, and then when they score the second, it becomes very difficult from there. Bearing in mind some of your stats you've talked about earlier, Ryan, in terms of they've not managed to score in the league games against West Bromwich Albion, so that was always going to be difficult. But Matty Gilbert 100% gets player of the match.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Matty, and unless something quite extraordinary happens, congratulations to West Bromwich Albion.
Yep. It will be an Aspire West Bromwich Albion final Sunday, June 29th, FA Disability Cup weekend. If you can't be present at St George's Park, that will be televised live on TNT Sports. Keep an eye on the WFA social media for more details in the coming weeks. Last chance. Oliver Rock can't quite make timing and or connection to score West Brom's third. A goal now will be nothing more than a consolation, but a fantastic effort from Villa nonetheless. The whistle is in the mouth of Millie Bean. Surely the last kick of the game, and that it absolutely is. Full-time, Villa Rockets 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. The brace from Matt Gilbert books their spot in the St George's Park final. Commiserations to Villa, but go and end the season on a high in game week 5 of the 24-25 Optegra Premiership. And we are already excited to see what you can do with a season under your belt in 25-26. I think that perfectly concludes things for the day. Thank you everyone here at the Derby Arena. Thank you to everyone tuning in online. The next bout of power chair football in England, game week 5 of the 24-25 Optegra Championship, May 24th and May 25th. I hope you can join us. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Ryan.